So next I want my character to face the correct direction when he's walking. I'd also like him to actually walk instead of just gliding across the floor. Because right now, he's got a nice glide going on. And then he kind of slides backwards, so let's fix that. So right now, I don't think he has an animator set up on him. I'm not sure if this character, yep, he does have a lot of animations. Great. So depending on what you use, you might have to set up your own animations. Most things you get off the asset store should have something included. Uh, yeah, looks like I've got a bunch right here. Let's grab a running animation. And do we have a walking? Hurt, falling, throwing, slashing, jumping, sliding. Nope, that should be fine for now. So I'm just going to make a transition back and forth. And I like to stick with anim state for the name of my integer states for the animator. That way I can kind of use it universally. When I write code like this, I always just reference anim state. And so we're going to remove has exit timer equal to 1 for running, and then take it out. We'll make it 0 for idle. So he should be set there. Let's see, does he need an avatar? I don't think so. Oh, his motion clips aren't set up. So that's why I'm not seeing anything. So let's drag these in here. Sometimes when you import some assets, they're not fully set up. And this one was running. So there. Let's see if it shows up now. There we go. Cool. So now he's got his little idle. And let's see what running looks like. There's his little run. Great. So now we have to tell it when it should have that transition. Like when he should start running and when he should be idle. Okay, so when we hit play, okay, so it makes a reference to our player, and there's which raycast object we've hit. And we have this here that says is moving. So let's take a look at how we're moving. Okay, so we could put our code right here. And in our select object script. And basically what I want to do is say if we are moving right, walk, animate, well, I guess it would be the switch to running animation. If we are moving left, switch to running animation, flip X. And here we would, and flip X disabled, because I believe we have a oh, okay, so that would be on each individual piece here. So I could set up a for loop, find each sprite renderer within this object, and flip the X script. Alternatively, I could take the scale and make it negative, which is probably easier, just to negative out that scale when we flip. So here we can say if is moving is true. Let's set up. We have an animation manager for our selected object, but I want something for our player as well. Let me take a look at this. Change animation clip. So we could have used this on our trigger fade as well, and just reference that, but this was simple enough. So I think a good way to detect this is to say if the player transform position.x is less than our waypoint position.x, then we know that our character is moving to the left because the number would be smaller or negative. So then we can say that our local scale should be negative. And I think this is read only, but let's check. Let's say -3, just to see what the error is. Because it is not a variable. Okay, so we'll do a couple things here. I want a private player scale. Oh, that would be a vector 3, I believe. And at start, it is going to equal the player dot transform dot local scale. So now we know how big the player is, or what his scale is, right off the start. So then down here we can say, alright, your local scale is now equal to the negative of your player scale. Else, facing right, it now goes back to the positive. But we're still not playing our animation, so let's also reference the animator. I'm just going to move everything by the player for organization. Now I could also just put an animation manager on the player and reference that. We don't have one on there right now, but it's not a bad idea because we made this dynamic script. We might as well use it. So let's reference that because I think that'll be a little bit easier. And we'll update that part. And then our method in here was change anim clip. So change anim clip, and we're going to change it to 1, which was our running. And then right here, I'll just say if he's not running, ooh, I don't want him to always be at idle when he's not running, because we might want him attacking too. So maybe right here when he reaches his destination, no, that's probably not a good spot. I want it to only trigger once. If he is moving, we're running this script. So if he's not moving, we're not running this anymore. So technically, we can get away with putting it right here and putting it to 0. So when he reaches his destination, he's going to switch back to idle and false. And I'm hoping that doesn't conflict with that. So I'm actually going to put it like this. I'm going to have it go false and then idle, just to make sure this doesn't trigger in the code. Alright, let's see how our guy looks. Alright, he's got his little head bob going on. Looks good so far. And yeah, he turned upside down. I did not expect that one. So, what we actually did here, and it makes a lot of sense, we turned all 3, x, y, and z negative. We only want the x to be negative, so let's fix that real quick. So I'm going to create a second vector3 player scale. I'm going to call this one negative and this one positive x. You know what? We'll just have player scale and then player scale negative x. That should be fine. So then right here, I'm just going to do it right at the start. I'm going to say player scale negative x equals new vector 3, and is going to be the player scale dot x, and put negative player scale dot x, and then positive player scale dot y, positive player scale dot z. And then facing left, we'll just put it will equal the negative scale x. Facing right, it goes back to the normal player scale. We're backwards, he's moonwalking. We were so close. And that's just a very easy fix here. Great. Now we have our little guy's animated. He can walk into rooms. The rooms fade in. He stops. and we can send him to the next room. And hopefully, um, he'll be shooting some robots in a minute. So that's what we're going to take a look at next, is setting up this AI combat, and we're going to get some little health bars above their heads for when they're in combat, and then we'll have the health bars disappear when they're not in combat. And we'll try to set up like a little UI pop-up on the side when we click on our character that shows kind of like his stats, like his health, and if we want to heal him, if we have like I know in Fallout Shelter they have stim packs, um, and I know they had a radiation setting too. You could, modify that. I'll probably just stick with like a health setting for now. And yeah, we'll make it so we can heal him and they can have their little automated combat.